What is going on, guys? This All Gaming with my review of Sword Art Online Season 2, Episode 7. And to be honest, this episode right here, the pacing of it, which is so freaking slow, that to me, it was a bit boring. Now, I'm not saying that it was bad, but, in my opinion right here, this episode could have made, like a little better because we really didn't get, no much, like that much action, well, none at all. And we really did not get that much story progression. Like the pacing here, it was just so slow, and I don't know why, because I feel like if this series is going to be long, then that means that they, the light level that they're covering, they should be able to do better pacing than this. I'm not really sure how it is, but I will look into that after I'm done with this review. But the episode itself, it starts off where we have Kirito. He's at home, and of course his sister is there, and so they're eating dinner. But like right away, Sugu here, she notices that something's definitely going on because Kirito has disappeared from her friend list, and that right there is definitely raising a flag to her. So of course now Kirito was like the reason Kirito never told her what he was doing, it was because it wasn't like she had checked her list every day. So that right there is why. But apparently Suga here, she could like feel that, and that right there was like kind of odd. I'm not really sure how you can tell that, or feel it at least. But now that she knows, like she shows Kirito this report that she had, and of course it was like for the Battle of the Bullets or whatever it's called, the BOB. And so right away she like points out to Kirito because his name is in there, and so immediately Kirito like is trying to deny it, and pretty much he's trying to keep Sugu out of it, but it really doesn't work. And eventually like she does know that. And so throughout the episode, Kirito, like this guy, he was just so lost in his thoughts that that every time he like making a scary expression, and we had so many characters like in this one episode point that out, because Kirito was definitely not on his A game, because I'm guessing like this guild or his feelings, definitely his feelings, they were getting to him, and they were just kind of like eating him up. And so when Sugu brings up Asuna, we go to like this flashback of Kirito talking to her over the phone, and we kind of get like this cute moment between them because Kirito was kind of like he had one to her voice anyway, and that way they were like nice and all, but it really like had no purpose in the episode because of the pacing. It was just so slow that the romance, it was definitely kind of like not needed here, to be honest with you. But we go to Sugu, who's like kind of worried that like Kirito, whatever he's doing, he might not come back or he might not come home, and that right there is really like getting to her, and she's like definitely worried about that. And so now we have Sugu, like trying to comfort Kirito, and it like does seem to work, but he pretty much like comfort her at the same time, because he was saying that like he will come back and he will not go away again. So it is nice that that they really do care for each other like this, and I am kind of glad that they aren't trying to throw that like incest or whatever you want to call it like they did in part 2 of the first series. But then we go to Sinon, or Shino, whatever her real name is. She is now at this park with her friend, and we see now that like she is still very upset. She's just so salty at Kirito, and we have her friend here. He is like definitely shocked to see her this way, because it's like the first time she has ever shown like anger, especially in the real world, because we all know how different she is. So Sinon is like already changing and becoming a more developed character, which is good, because we see now that like she is kind of breaking out of her shell slowly. So even though she is mad, her character is still progressing, which is definitely a nice thing. And so eventually like we have a friend here who had wanted to help her get back at Kirito, and I'm pretty sure that this guy even wanted to like jump him at one point, but because of how honest and straightforward Kirito fights, Sinon here, she wants to meet him the same way and fight him in a fair battle, which is definitely good. And she is so wrapped up on this revenge, we see now that like she actually makes a gun in her hand, and she does not like freak out. And so that right there is definitely awesome, because in her rage she can actually like stay composed. But then we have her friend here who was like wondering what was like really going on, and we see at one point he actually embraces her because this guy, he is in love with Sinon, and he actually wants to be more than friends. But we have Sinon here who like pushes him away, pushing back to the friend zone, which is like hilarious. But we see now that like right now she only wants to like solve this problem and win the BOB, and she feels like after she does that, then she could possibly, move on from this and maybe start dating him. So right now she wants him to wait for her, and that right there, was definitely interesting because I do wonder if these two like really will get together, because I have a feeling that even though he does like her, Sinon will probably never feel that way about him, even though she said that like he's the only one in the city that like truly understands her. I feel that there'll probably be no love connection between them for some reason. I'm not really sure, but that right there is the feeling I have at the moment. But now we'll go back to Kirito, who seem to be having this nightmare because we see that all the players that he killed, we see them now without any eyes. They have all the cuts now and they're bleeding, and they're all asking him if he's like Kirito over and over. But we see that like he's on the way to the hospital, and when he gets there, he talked to that nurse again. And so pretty much, with like all this guilt that's like getting to him, he actually asks her if she because we learned that before she went into rehab, she actually needed to be in surgery. So Kirito had asked her if she actually remembers the names, or he asked her if she remembers the patients that have like died on her. And we actually learned that if she really tried to remember it, she can't remember their like faces and names. And so because she remembers that and Kirito doesn't, he kind of feel like he's a monster, because like even though he killed 3 people, he does not remember their names or faces at all. And that right there is a bit surprising, because I thought that he was like feeling guilty because he had I thought like he was feeling guilty because he did and not because he didn't. So that right there was like kind of a twist, at least to me. But we see that this right here is like really eating at him, and so eventually we have the nurse. She's like comforting him, and that was nice. And we see now that like even though this nurse, she did kind of come off as a cool girl at first, she is like she is at least a very good supporting character, because she was able to help Kirito bounce back. And so now we have Kirito logging in, and we also have Sinon logging in. But not only that, we actually go back to LAO, where we have Klein and the girls. They're like fighting this salamander, and we see now that like Klein here, he had took hold of his tail, and we see that right there allowed everybody to get away. But this like salamander, he actually let out this breath of poison, and we see that like Klein was dying. But we actually have Asuna as a healer, which I find kind of odd, because her sword skills, they were so good in SAO. You would think that like she would stick with that and not fall back to a healing role. But now we see that like Klein almost died because Asuna was like spacing out, but at the last second, she like did come in there and heal him, and that right there, allow all the other girls to come in there and take it out. And so now pretty much everybody knows that like Kirito, he is now going to be in the BOB, and right now they actually want to go there and watch his battle. Like like for some reason I don't know how they're going to work. I'm not sure if to like watch it from LAO or to go watch it from the real world, because we have Klein here saying that they actually had enough pay for like food and drinks. So I think that you can like actually watch other MMOs, like apparently in the SAO universe you can watch other MMOs even though you're already in one. So that right there is a bit weird. Like maybe I'm wrong about that, or it was like sub wrong, but hopefully they will explain that. But now we go to Sinon, who like once again joined by her friend. And we see now that like he is still trying to make a move. And so right now we have Sinon here kind of like shooting him down again. But this guy, I'm guessing right now, even though he might be getting frustrated, he does seem to be playing it off, because he was saying that like he will believe in her and just wait for now, even though I have a feeling that right there could be a lie. But now we have Kirito and Sinon. Now when they come to like the bar they were in last time, where they where it's kind of like a waiting room. We see it now coming face to face, and we have Sinon here saying that this time she won't lose, but Kirito is like also confident and saying that he won't lose either. And so right now we have like a standoff with them, but that right there is where the episode ends. But like I said, the episode, like, to me, it was a bit boring because, of the very slow pacing. And so for that, I kind of feel like, this right here, it deserves a 6 out of 10. Now, I'm pretty sure some people might feel differently, but of course, I would love to hear your guys' thoughts on this. And as always, please do not forget to like the video and subscribe because it really helps me out. And you guys take it easy, and I will see you all next time.